Hello everyone, my name is Hadi. Today I will be presenting my project on unemployment rate time series analysis and forecasting. This project applies sophisticated time series techniques to predict future unemployment rates, which has a significant economic and policy implication. Let's go. In this project, I set out to predict unemployment rates for the next 12 months using data spanning over 25 years, which started from January 2000 to March 2025. This type of forecasting is very important because it is one of the most watched and studied economic indicators. Government agencies rely on those forecasts heavily for monetary and fiscal policy decisions, while businesses use them for hiring strategies and investment planning. The time series plot you see in this slide shows the historical unemployment rate data, where you can clearly observe several economic cycles, including the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, both of which caused significant spikes in unemployment. My analytical approach followed a structured four-stage process. First, I loaded and explored the data, identifying key patterns and splitting it into training and validation sets. The training set spans from January 2000 to March 2024, with the validation set covering April 2024 through March 2025. In the second stage, I conducted time series analysis, decomposing the series into trend, seasonal, and random components. And also, I tested for stationarity, which is a key requirement for many forecasting models. For the third stage, I decided to implement three distinct forecasting approaches, which are the naive model, ETS, which is also known as error, trend, and seasonal model, and an ARIMA, which is also known as autoregressive integrated moving average model. Finally, I evaluated these models using several metrics, with the special emphasis on the mean absolute scaled error, also known as MACE. The metric is particularly valuable because it's scale independent, allowing fair comparisons across different time series models. After the data set had been cleaned, splitted, and studied, I noticed after exploring the 25 years of monthly unemployment data has revealed several important patterns. First, there are clear cyclical patterns with peaks corresponding to economic recessions, particularly visible in the 2008, 2009, and 2020. Second, there are distinct seasonal fluctuations within each year, with unemployment typically higher in certain months. For model evaluation purposes, I split the data into a training set covering January 2000 to March 2024, which is 290 months, and a validation set from April 2024 to March 2025, which is exactly 12 months, and that was going to be my testing or the validation set. This approach allowed me to test my model on a full year of unseen data, providing a realistic assessment of their forecasting capabilities. The decomposition plot shown here breaks down the time series into its trend, seasonal, and random components, which help me understand the underlying pattern driving unemployment changes. A key step in time series analysis is checking for stationarity, whether the statistical property of the series remain constant over time. The augmented Dickey-Fuller test, which is also known as the ADF test, has shown me that our original series was a non-stationary series, with a p-value of 0.1452, but became stationary after one level of differencing with a p-value of 0.01. Based on the characteristics of the data, it helped me pick my forecasting approaches, which is the naive model. Um, the naive model is basically used the last observed value as the forecast, while the ETS model is just well suited for data with trend and seasonal component. Finally, the ARIMA model, which is effective for capturing complex autocorrelation structures. In this slide here, you can see the ACF and PACF plot has helped determine the appropriate parameters for the ARIMA model by identifying significant lags in the autocorrelation structure. The naive model served as our baseline for comparison. After applying it to different series, we obtained the following performance metrics. The root mean square error of 0.3211, the mean absolute error of 0.2589, the mean absolute scaled error of exactly 1.00, which by definition is our baseline. The naive model's main limitation was its ability to capture seasonal patterns effectively. As you can see in the forecast plot, it does not account for the regular monthly fluctuations we observed in the historical data. Now let's talk about our ETS and ARIMA results. We can clearly see that the ETS model has a 0.6655, which represents a 33.45 improvement over our naive baseline, while the ARIMA model had a MACE of 0.7125, representing a 28.75% improvement over our naive baseline. You can see that the performance comparison chart clearly shows the ETS model outperforming both the naive and the ARIMA approaches across all the metrics. We decided to go with the additive error no trend additive seasonality with the ETS model because of the characteristics of the data that we were given. For the ARIMA model, we did it based on the monthly seasonal component because we are calculating our rates based on the 12 months for the past 25 years. To ensure our model weren't overfitting the data, I implemented several validation strategies. First, I used the holdout validation approach with a separate 12-month period. I also employed information criteria like AIC and BIC, which penalize excessive model complexity, which helps select models that balance fit and simplicity. Residual analysis was another critical validation tool, verifying that the residuals approximated white noise, a sign that the model has captured all meaningful patterns in the data. The ETS model showed a remarkable consistency between training and validation period, with a training maze of 0.6532 and a validation maze of 0.6655, a difference of only about 1.2%. This consistency provides strong evidence that the model isn't overfitting and should generalize well to the future data. In the final forecast, we have identified that the ETS model as our best performer. I retrained it on the complete data set and generated forecasts for the next 12 months. The forecast shows a relatively stable unemployment rate averaging around 3.70%, with clear seasonal pattern matching the historical data. One notable aspect of this forecast is the tight prediction interval, indicating high confidence in our projections. The 95% prediction interval, which accounts for more extreme scenarios, has an average width of just 0.93 points. The chart illustrates both the point forecast and the prediction intervals, giving us a visual representation of the expected unemployment trends and the associated uncertainty. After doing all of that with our data, I came to find our key findings and limitations. Our analysis yielded several key findings. First, the ETS model provided the most accurate forecast with a 33.45% improvement over the naive approach. Second, the unemployment data requires different things to achieve stationarity, confirming the non-stationary nature of economic time series. Third, our forecast suggests stable unemployment with predictable seasonal pattern over the next year. However, it is important to acknowledge some limitations. Our model cannot anticipate external shocks like economic crisis or major policy changes such as the 2008 financial crisis or the 2020 pandemic, also known as the COVID-19 pandemic. If the underlying structure of the economy changes, historical patterns may become less relevant, and as with all forecasts, accuracy tends to decrease for longer horizons. After studying and exploring the data of this project, we have came to the conclusion that the ETS model was definitely the most accurate forecast, outperforming both the ARIMA and the naive approach. Our 12-month forecast suggests a stable labor market with expected seasonal variation with no major shift anticipated in the coming year. However, let's keep in mind that this could change due to external factors such as another pandemic, another financial crisis, or a political crisis. Looking forward, however, several avenues exist for potential improvements. Incorporating external economic indicators like GDP growth or inflation could enhance forecast accuracy. Ensembling methods combining multiple models might reduce overall error and increase robustness. Exploring machine learning approaches could potentially capture more complex patterns in the data. Thank you very much for keeping up with the topic. Please leave any questions you have or any comments you have in the comment section below. It was nice talking to you and explaining my project to you. Good luck on the finals.